Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's Sunday night hangout video. This week I have two new guests joining us to hang out for the evening. So please welcome Jase.
What's up?
And Brennan.
What's up? Okay, now
You
I'm
missed
still
the
like,
awkward peace sign.
I'm gonna get him to leave,
I
dude.
didn't even see that.
This week we're going to talk to y'all about kind of what to do during this social distancing, quarantine, all of that. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about kind of how to balance your habits, because we are in a time where we are all on social media constantly, and we're all streaming videos constantly, and we're all listening to music constantly, and so we're going to kind of talk about how to balance all of that in a way that is healthy and good and gives you time to still like grow your relationship with God and all of that. So I guess we'll start off first with social media. Yeah?
Cool.
Alright, so the three main social medias we're going to talk about are Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, because those are the three that are everywhere, that everyone uses. What was that?
It's a renegade.
Was it though?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know.
I guess we'll start off with Instagram. So what are y'all's general thoughts on Instagram?
I think Instagram's real cool because it gives you an opportunity to see what people are up to and follow, like, I don't know, sports accounts, art accounts, whatever you're into. It's got a million different things. But it's important not to, like, value yourself based off of your Instagram and spend too much time on, like, paying attention to, oh, what's going on Instagram? I need to be doing this and be posting this. And I don't know. It's been weird seeing all these trends come up with. So I don't know. During this time, it's really easy to fall into boredom, and like you can do that with all three of the social medias you mentioned. Like sit there on TikTok for like what seems like 20 minutes, but turns out to be 4 hours. So just being more mindful about what you're spending your time on and how long you're spending on it.
I think social media, especially now, is like really weird because a lot of what's normal on social media nowadays is like, gone because no one's really getting the little life that they want to post about. Minus if you like take a cool trip like we did. Yeah, I mean, I'm big into sports, so like I'm thinking about like Sports Center and House of Highlights and just like stuff like that. Now they're just posting all kinds of like past highlights of what happened in the past. They can't post anything that's happening now because NBA, MLB, college basketball, they're just all canceled. I think it's also important to just really not find the majority of your time in social media, just because it is in a way corrupt. We see a lot of people on social media portraying the good side of them when really like some things might be wrong. And yeah, so I think having social media it's a good thing, and it can be positive in a way where you can share Christ and do positive, fun things on it. But it can also like be really negative. It can give you a way out for you to post about I'm okay because I can post that I'm okay, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's super important not to only like look at social media, but like keep up with your friends and like make sure they're okay and like check up on them. Like that's just like super important.
I love Instagram just because like I love photography, and like I could just spend hours scrolling through like photography pages on Insta. And this applies to Snapchat too, but like I think both Instagram and Snapchat, they give you this like false sense of you're keeping up with people and you're like involved in people's lives, but really you're not. Like yes, you're seeing the pictures that they're posting, the stories that they're posting, all of that, and it gives you this like false sense of like, oh, I like know what's going on in their lives. And I didn't really realize that until last year. I did like an 8-month break from social media where I didn't really post anything. I deleted like Snapchat and a bunch of stuff, and I would only get on social media like once a month, and that really showed me just how little I was actually keeping up with my friends before then.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think that's something that's like really important, is to like know that distinction. And then like Jase was saying, it's so easy to post like on Instagram like a really cool picture and make it seem like you're totally fine when really you're not. So definitely the facade behind it is not so great. So then like transitioning more into like Snapchat a little bit, what are y'all's kind of thoughts on that and like the pros and cons of Snapchat.
I favor Snapchat over like text message because it gives me a little bit, but I favor Snapchat because I can like see your face to an extent.
Okay.
So like it gives me that little bit more of a connection. But I'm really not on Snapchat as much as I used to be when I was like an underclassman and in middle school. It's just not something I spend as much time on. But it's definitely cool in that aspect that you can see the person's face. But I think it's also important because Snapchat, it gives off this vibe that it's only there for a little bit and that whatever I send is not going to matter because it's going to go away, which, like, it's not true. Like, it's in a database somewhere that you may never see it again, but someone might see it again. So I think it's cool to be able to keep up with your friends, and if that's what you prefer to hang out and to talk and text with, then that's one good side of it. But just, again, not spending too much time on it and, like, only sending streaks, like, that's your main priority is to just send a streak and then be done. I think if that's what you're doing, then that's...
Those people that, like, I used to be that person who had, like, 2,000 streaks that he was maintaining. It's just not.
That's just something as I got older, realized I did that too at one point. It's just not something I really even cared about that much. So I really only keep streaks with the people that I actually talk to. So
I think Snapchat is so, like, I love Snapchat just because mainly Snapchat for me is keeping up with the boys and being able to send the boys like funny videos or like me just being stupid. That's just how fun I did enjoy it because you get to be fun with it. But also it's like a happy medium in between like Instagram. You don't want to post something every day, you know, on your story, whatever. And also I think Snapchat can be super ingenuine in a lot of ways. Again, like with a streak, so you can send someone just like picture your face and be like streak or whatever. I'm just like, you know, if I want to streak with you, like if I have a streak with you, I want to be able to like keep up with you and like talk to you and not just be like, oh, you just streak for, you know, one for a day. And it's kind of like, what's the point of having a streak if there's no genuine like conversation into it, right? But yeah, Snapchat, I love it because you can post a whole lot if you want to, especially on a trip. Where you can on Instagram, like you can't blow up Instagram and be like, everyone's gonna hate that spam, you know, stuff like that. But on Snapchat, you can like, you know, video something cool and you can post it to your story, and it's more of like a database for anything that happens that's not like Instagram worthy. You can post on Snapchat, and some of those things are really cool. They may be kind of like stupid or dumb or just like funny, but you can still go to Snapchat with them. So I think Snapchat should not be like a huge indicator for your, like, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, like, Snapchat shouldn't, like...
Yeah. Well, like, for example, like, Karina and I, we don't base our relationship off Snapchat. Like, we don't make snapping each other our main form of communication. We don't we don't use it as a substitute for seeing each other. I've never used it as a way to be like, hey, do you want to go on a date tonight, or do you want to go do this, or what are your thoughts on this? Like, it's not a place that either of us initiate, like, any sort of, like, deep or meaningful or important conversation. It's not something that we use as, like, our primary way of keeping up with each other. We use it as a way of, like, just to, like, see what the other person's doing, but that's kind of it.
Boys, ask girls out over a in-person contact, or at the very least a phone call. Like, have enough respect to approach her and have confidence and like do it the right way instead of just being behind a phone asking her like just to, you know, let's go on a date. Like, there should definitely be like it feels more genuine when it comes from you talking to them and not just texting. My parents raised me, I'm sure a lot of your parents raised you too, just to be like, that's like super important stuff. And like treating a girl or a guy the right way is also is Christian, like, first of all. Second off, it's just really respectful. And I think it's super important that Snapchat should be for like fun updates about your day, or like fun things that are happening about your day, and not necessarily genuine hard conversation that you should have with somebody. Because it's easy to text and it's easy to like type, but another thing is to talk to someone about hard stuff. You know, it's a good topic to kind of go off of, because like talking to someone is a whole lot different than texting somebody, and it's a whole lot harder. And it's our generations have kind of like switched to more about, you know, texting and Snapchatting people about, you know, hard conversations, when really like it should be a sit down, let's have a talk, or on the phone, or like something like that, where you should hear each other's voices about their opinions and not just like reading emotions off of a phone is so skew and just like not. Sometimes it just you can't conceive it, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think it also gives you this like ability to maybe hide your genuine emotions on something because like you get the text and you can like read it, think a lot about it, and come up with like the perfect reply, or just like tell them what they want to hear, or like alter like what you actually think just to like either resolve it, or if you want to like blow things up further, you know exactly like you can like come up with this like calculated text, and like it's just super easy to hide behind a lot of that. Whereas like that's not how life is. Like you need to face things, and so like having like real conversations with people, like during this time, whether it's like on the phone or like FaceTime or Skype or whatever, but like actually being able to like hear their response, see their emotions, like all of that I think is really important.
Super important.
I think for me, like with Snapchat, I have such a love-hate relationship with Snapchat. I remember when it first came out, it was like my freshman year of high school, and like we all loved it. Like it was just like a whole new world to us, and like I've gone through like waves of like I really really love it and I really really hate it, and I really really love it and I really really hate it. But it is definitely one of like my main forms of like communication. But going back to that like social media break that I did, when I got back on Snapchat, I pretty much removed everyone that I'm not like really good friends with off of it, because I wanted it to be kind of like what both of y'all have been talking about. Like, let me use this as a way to just like send funny stuff to my friends and like see what they're up to throughout their day and like communicate that way. But, like it's so easy to just get all the like random people on Snapchat that it's like you don't really care about them or like what they're doing, or like you're only following it for the sake of like wanting to like know what's going on in their life is from like a kind of like gossipy standpoint. But so then like since deleting a bunch of people off of it and then just having it be like for me and like my close friends, like there are good things about it, and like, you know, sometimes it's a lot easier to just like send a video to someone on Snap like talking about like what you're doing or like your response to something or whatever, as opposed to like trying to text it all out and all that. So like I think it definitely has like a lot of good sides to it, but I think there's also just a lot of stuff you can do that's not good. So then last we're gonna get into TikTok.
Oh boy.
So which one?
That's pretty good, right?
I don't know.
There's like something with this in there too.
Oh yeah, a little.
Yeah. I don't know. So TikTok for me, I had it for a little while and I was pretty addicted to it, and I didn't like how much time I was spending on it. And there was like, for those of you that have TikTok, there's good things with everything. There's good things and there's bad things. And I was finding that like the bad things were coming up more often than the good things, and I was spending too much time on it. I got fed up with it. Didn't like how much time I was spending on it. So I don't have it anymore, but I definitely like have been there. Like I said earlier, scrolling through, it feels like it's been 30 minutes and it's been 2 hours or however long it's been. It's definitely like they know what they're doing, trying to trick you into spending time on there. Like that's why they made it that way, is to trap you on there. But for sure, same thing with Snapchat, Instagram. Just monitor how much time you're spending on it, what you're posting, who's going to see what you're posting. That's a big one. Oftentimes we think, oh, there's no way that this can affect me in real life, or like I'm going to get in trouble for this, whatever it might be. But just like making sure that you're not posting something that's not church appropriate, school appropriate, something that you wouldn't want your grandma seeing. Like, just that's a good rule of thumb. Yeah. If you don't want someone to see it, probably don't post it.
All of your future employers are going to look at your social media, like without fail.
I've heard stories of people not getting jobs because of Facebook posts or Twitter posts, and there's all this controversy of old school Twitter posts being brought up of like celebrities when they get in trouble. So like, just be careful with like what you're putting out there, because you may not mean it now, or it might be a joke, but in the future it can come back to bite you. So just be careful with that. But my main gripe with TikTok is just spending way too much time on it.
TikTok for me is more of a. It really ties into Snapchat a lot for me, because I'll send funny TikToks. You know, you can like do like little direct message through the TikTok over to Snapchat. You can send a Snapchat of a TikTok to your friends and stuff. I do that a lot because I just find a lot of funny stuff to it. Yeah, I'm kind of like Brennan. Like when it first came out, I was like, I don't really want to be a TikToker. That kind of sounds really weird. And then I was like, okay, fine. I'm seeing a lot of funny videos. It's like TikTok was kind of like a really big hit for a second, and then it kind of just like turned into this thing where, if I'm like bored and like don't have anything else to do, I'll like maybe go find a funny video or something and then send it to my friends just to be funny or whatever. But no, for sure, like when I was really indulging myself and spending hours on TikTok, I was like, dang, like, what can I be spending this time to do better? Like, whether that be even just doing homework for school or pursuing like friendships and doing all kinds of other stuff. But now I'm just like being selfish and looking at all these videos, just like weird old dudes doing funny stuff, or like all these young 16-year-old people doing like crazy stuff, and I'm just like, this is crazy, dude. And like, but yeah, I think balancing the time between social media and your real life is a huge point, and it's hard because it is fun and it is something that is funny and it can be a fun time, but it can also not be in the long run. Having a real social life away from your phone is way more important than having a social life with your device. And I think our generations even like kind of have a flaw in that. And I think mainly just like encourage y'all to set maybe some limits on maybe just be on TikTok and all these other social media accounts only for, I don't know, maybe an hour a day.
Yeah. An hour goes by so fast.
It does.
Yeah.
It
you
really
don't
does.
realize until you like set a limit like that, you don't know how much time you spend.
Yep.
And then it feels like you've just like barely checked all of your apps and your like 2-hour limit is up. And you're just like, excuse me?
And then like the rest of the day you do nothing.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
So, like,
to go off of that, something that I learned too is because like it's so easy to just be like the ignore or like your passcode, all of that. So like something that I've seen a lot of people do that works really well is you have someone else set the passcode for the restriction. So like when your time is up, you can't just like enter your passcode, extend an hour, have someone else. It doesn't have to be your parents. Like you can like do it with one of your friends. Like you set up their code, they set up your code. Like something like that would be really good. For me with TikTok, I don't get TikTok. Like it's the first, like I've said this a million times, but like it's the first social media that makes me feel like old and like out of touch with things.
Well, you are.
Because I just, I'm only 22.
Okay.
Not that old. 29. I'm not 29.
Sorry, Bo.
Gonna make them think that I'm 29.
The truth comes out sometimes, friends.
T's having his 30th birthday by the end of the year. I'll be rich.
TikTok, same as like Jase described, like I very begrudgingly, like when it first came out, I was like, I'm not gonna be a dang TikToker. And then like I downloaded it for like a day, and I just couldn't get into it because you have like, one out of every like 100 videos might be funny, but those other like 99 videos to get to that one video is just like
Cringy.
a whole bunch of like thirsty people that are like all the like thirsty people like just looking for booze, and then you have all of the dances. Like some of them are really funny, but a lot of them are like really awkward.
Yeah,
is a word for it.
If you find my TikTok, there's a really awkward one of us dancing on it, so that's a challenge. If you find my TikTok,
Ooh. To me, there just like was not any like what little good content there was so much like bad content that you had to wade through to find it that to me it just like wasn't worth it. So I just like I'm very out of touch with TikTok. I don't get it. So then as we like wrap up this segment, like overall concluding general thoughts on like balancing social media.
Biggest thing is with me just trying somewhat to with this whole break, I've kind of let myself be a little looser on it, but monitoring how much time I'm spending on it, what I'm putting into my mind, like what I'm looking at, what I'm listening to with the music and with the videos, how that's affecting me, and like if certain words are being said a whole lot, that really can stick with you. Cussing is usually frowned upon, so if there's a lot of cussing in a video or TikTok or whatever, that can stick in your brain, and it's just a fact that that's the way our brains work. When it's repetitively put out there, our brain is going to receive that. It's going to happen. So that's a big thing for me, is just monitoring like what I'm taking in, and that's what I really try to look out for with social media.
Kind of going off that, a statement I always grew up hearing was, what you take in is what you're going to put out.
Yeah.
So if you're not balancing what you take in, then what's coming out verbally is going to be very imbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with social media, balancing it with positive things like being in scripture, reading the Bible, praying, doing daily devotionals, texting your friends about, hey, what'd you read today? And have a genuine conversation about, what you got from that scripture from your day. And it's really hard, especially now with the whole COVID situation, not having anything to do, it seems like, rather than be on our phones. But I encourage y'all to go outside, go do something fun, go do something active, a trampoline, a basketball, football, and baseball. Go do something with your little siblings or older siblings, like your parents. Spend some quality. Spend this time that you have off developing that relationship with your parents and your siblings. Because here in if you're in high school, 4 or less years, you're not going to be home. You're going to be in college. And it's so crazy to think about me just being back in that situation. How much more time I could have spent with my family and doing a lot of cool things with them. And I just encourage you to balance it with a lot of good, whether that be with God or with your family or with your friends. So yeah.
I think for me with social media, kind of the big thing is not viewing social media as a genuine way of keeping up with people.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because that's what social media brands itself as being, is a way to keep up with everyone, no matter where you are and all of that. But I think you need to realize it's a very superficial way of keeping up with people. And because very rarely are you going to see someone post hey, I'm depressed and here's why. Not viewing it as a way of keeping up with your friends and your close relationships. Take the time outside of social media to text them, call them, FaceTime them, spend time with them.
Yeah.
Because that is very different than just following them on Instagram and liking all of their posts and commenting on them, or having a snap streak with someone or things like that. So that's a big one for me, is not viewing it as a replacement for social interaction. And then with that, like Jase was saying, fill your time with things like reading scripture and all of that. Something my friends and I did our sophomore year of college was the way we would maintain our snap streaks with each other is our first snap, in order to maintain the streak, had to be here's what I read today, and here's why it was cool.
Yeah.
And so it was cool because we all wanted to keep our snap streaks, but then it also encouraged us to hold each other accountable in our daily reading and all of that. So with that, we'll now shift gears to the video streaming platforms. So YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, all that. So general thoughts.
So
Go.
Where I don't spend as much time on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and social media is where I spend more time on video content, just whatever it might be. If I'm on my phone, more likely than not, I'm streaming something or listening to a podcast. I do that a lot. So that's mainly what I use my phone for. Because like they said, I'm bad at texting back, and I'm not on my phone much else other than watching a movie, watching a TV show, or watching YouTube, whatever it might be. That's really all I use my phone for, unless I'm talking to someone on the phone or texting them. So I can relate a lot more in that world, just because that's what the main form of content I bring in is in video format.
Yep.
So for sure, I can get lost in a movie and a show and spend hours and hours on that, whereas it's not as common for me to do that with Instagram. But I'll be oh yeah, I can watch this show for 3 hours at night and ruin my sleep schedule, which is something I do all the time. That I just take in a lot of video content, so that's where I need to get better about managing my time and how much time I'm spending watching things.
My general thoughts on video streaming services such as Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, or just in general, just TV. I love Netflix and Hulu. And I admit I spend way too much freaking time on those things. Like last night, I stayed up till, I think it was 3:30 watching a TV show that was just came out on Netflix. And Instead of doing the responsible thing, getting good sleep, I did that, which I know I can do better in doing, but also, what else am I going to do when I have nothing else to do on these COVID days, But, I'm just like looking throughout my whole day, and I'm looking at how much time I spend with God, and how much time I spent doing something I chose to do rather than God. And those are like the scales are just so large and different. It's like, I might spend an hour a day with God and then spend who knows how long streaming Netflix or whatever, Hulu or whatever. But definitely balancing that back more towards a good median, even if that means spending a lot more time with God. Like, I think it'll definitely be worth it. You can see the change in your life when you do that. When you make that change. But yeah.
So yeah, I spend a decent amount of time streaming videos. I watch a lot of YouTube, and it's just like all different kinds of things that I watch on YouTube. Whether it's like music videos or like popular YouTubers, or I'll watch like sermons on there, or just like it's just a variety of different things. But yeah, and then saying like I spend a decent amount of time on Netflix and Hulu, but with those I've gotten to where like YouTube I'll watch throughout the day, because I do this thing where I think Brennan and I have talked about this of like, if I'm gonna eat, like I need to sit down and like pick what YouTube video I'm gonna watch and then like play it. But then like my justification for that is like, oh, it's only like a 10 to 20 minute video instead of me like picking some 45-minute show to watch. But so like I'll stream like YouTube throughout the day, and then I have gotten to where like now I'll only let myself watch like shows unless I'm just having like a day off. For the most part, I'll only let myself watch shows at night. Like, okay, the day's done. I've done everything I needed to do. I've spent time with God. I've gotten all these other things done. Now I can just like chill and watch a video. But then, I end up staying up until like 1 or 2 in the morning watching a TV show. So I mean, like, yeah. So then with that, what do y'all think are like the pros and cons of video streaming?
Yeah.
Pros are far fewer than cons, in my opinion, because cons, off the bat, waste too much time, can be bad for your mind, can waste your time.
The type of content that's available.
The type of content. If you're not watching the right things, it's going to put bad things in your head, like Jay said earlier, what you put in is what you're going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like, I guess with pros, the only thing that I can think that I justify it with is it makes me laugh sometimes, makes me cry sometimes, which is good every now and then, but just makes you feel good every now and then. But really, there's not too many other pros, because more often than not, you're going to be wasting a whole lot of time doing something that, in the grand scheme of things, is going to be insignificant compared to like if you're in the Word, or talking, making genuine conversation with a friend, volunteering, spending time with your family, picking up around the house, putting in work in your chores or whatever you do.
Yeah.
Those type of things are going to have a much bigger impact than you sitting and watching The Office 3 days in a row and doing that.
Sure.
Or think about like, how many YouTube videos have you seen that you actually remember versus how many you've actually probably watched?
Yeah. Which is like a small number.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mine are pretty similar. Cons would be just like spending a lot more time than I should on video platforms, and sometimes like content I do put in my head, whether it be a TV show I watch that has just stuff I probably shouldn't be watching, or there's a lot of cons, but the pros are very few. Like Brennan said, like some TV shows I enjoy watching, like giving you a lot of like culture information and like a lot of positive stuff that you can like actually put in your head. Like, I mean, I was raised, we and our family, we loved watching like Yellowstone and watching like National Park, like interesting stuff that God created. And I think that is a great way to like watch and indulge yourself in like a show, but also be like in awe of like creation, or in awe of like what actually happens around the world. But overall, I think we should spend a lot more time doing positive and thinking about pros and cons, and like how can I really exemplify these pros and really decrease these cons. Whether that be the show you choose, the movie you choose, or just like stop watching so much of it, or whatever that might be.
No, for sure. I mean, speaking with that, like the amount of like Netflix and Hulu I watch now compared to like my freshman year is insane. I watched 12 seasons of Grey's Anatomy within like a 2-month time span my freshman year of college.
Dang, boy.
Yeah.
Dedication.
But now, like, I've been watching a show for like 3 or 4 months now, and I'm only like halfway through season 4. So, balancing. But I think for me, to echo what they said, I mean, the cons are just so many, but like, there are still like really good pros. I mean, like in this situation with the whole COVID stuff, like, this is how we're now all getting church, is through like these types of videos and through like video streaming content. And so like I said before, like this is how I sometimes will watch like sermons, or it's really cool to like pull up like videos of like your favorite worship bands performing and like actually watch the video of like the performance. It adds a whole other layer to it than just like hearing the song just plain does. So like there are like some really good things to it, and it can be really informational as far as keeping up with what's going on in the world and understanding like cultural references and the cultural impact of things, and being able to keep up with news events and being able to just see what's going on in the world. There's also just so much like content out there that you just like don't need to be watching. And so yeah, I guess like as we wrap up this segment, like my big advice is just like limiting the time and like space in which you'll watch the content. So like I've gotten to where like with YouTube, okay, if I want to watch a YouTube video while I eat, okay, but I'll just pick one video to watch while I eat. Pick like a little bit longer video, like pick like a 20-minute video to where like you can watch it, eat, take your time, all of that. But then once it's done, you're done eating, like that's it. And then again, like I don't really watch like Netflix or Hulu until night when I'm like going to bed. And then like I really have tried to like get better about, okay, once midnight hits, I'm turning it off.
Yeah. Which
is really hard to do when you're getting like really into a show. But just like setting those limits for yourself. So with that, we're going to go into our last category, which is music.
So with me, I would say I love music, but I'm definitely like more casual than someone like JT. Whereas like JT's just a whole lot more into music than I am. But I definitely like I enjoy music. I love listening to music. But it's just like I said, it's not something I spend as much time doing. If I'm listening to something on Spotify, more than likely than not, it's a podcast over music. It's just me. But I mean, I love music. It's a good way to connect with other people. It's a good way to experience emotions and portray emotions. It's a human thing that God gave us to enjoy with each other. But I think it's also important to monitor, again, it's kind of the theme throughout what I've been talking about, just what you're putting in and what you're listening to. There's nothing wrong with rap on its own, but more often than not, rap music, the culture behind rap music isn't exactly beneficial to our minds and isn't always talking about the best things. Just in general. So yeah, just monitoring what you're putting in and then balancing that with, if you're gonna make a playlist, it doesn't have to be this like legalistic thing. Only worship music in this playlist, and then only country music in this playlist, and only rap music in this playlist. It's okay to blend them together. Side note, if you're really into rap, get into some Christian rap because it's a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I need to get more into it myself, but there's so much Christian rap out there.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, just again, monitoring and balancing the intake of the type of music.
So again, like me, I'm probably not even into music like these two are. I love music, and I enjoy singing in the shower. That's my big thing. I freaking love that. I'm big into country, and I'm really big into, I don't know, I like pop, and I dabble in some like rap, but I'm just like, that's not really attractive in my head. Like I enjoy like being able to relate to music a lot, and for that, like that means like country or like gospel, or sometimes some like pop songs. Be like, okay, yeah, I can dig that. Yeah, overall, I think music can be such a positive thing for people, and like Brennan said, you can connect with people when you do it. But also, like, yeah, going back to your point about Christian rap, my roommate here, and he was at D&L too. His name's Andrew. He got me into some like really, really cool stuff. Like Andy Mineo, I can go on and on about, who's some good Christian rappers, but really looking at that kind of stuff, you feel the same beats and you feel the same like vibes. It's just like really good content that gets put in your head, and some lyrics are just really cool. Like the way they word things is just like wow. Like they just put a scripture piece into a song and rapped it. It's just really cool. Yeah, I would encourage you to like maybe get out of your comfort zones and go to a Christian rap standpoint and not just like listen to I know who some rappers are like XX. I know he died, but XXX, and then
I know none of the modern rappers.
Who else is there? Like
I would say for all the Lils,
and all the babies.
You should for 5 Lils, you should name at least one Christian rapper. That would be a good way to be able to balance that with Christian rap. Because like Jay said, you get the same beats, you get the same kind of like hype mentality of a good rap song, and you don't even realize it, but they're putting in scripture and they're putting in good messages, and you're like half the time you can't even tell that it's like a Christian rap song just because it sounds like a rap song.
So for me, I feel like each of us have had like our little category of like where we felt like we struggle the most or like feel the most strong about an area, and so like now this is mine because like as both of them have alluded to, I love music. Like an honestly unhealthy amount, but it's fine. I remember one night Jase and I were Snapchatting and he like roasted me. He was like, "You always have your AirPods in," and I'm like, well, it's not an exaggeration when I say, like, unless I'm, like, talking to someone face to face, I will always be listening to music. Like, it's just, like, it's a part of my life. And kind of like what Brennan said, it's a way for me to, like, share emotions and thoughts and feelings. Yeah, and I like a wide variety of music. I like a little bit of country. I like a little bit of rock, throwback stuff. The majority of what I listen to is a lot of, like, electronic and, like, indie alternative stuff, which is then hard because there's not as much of that genre in, like, a Christian format. But that being said, I also really love, like, some good worship music, and a big thing is, like, what Brennan said of don't be afraid to mix your playlists. Like, my playlists will go from, like, the 1975 to Taylor Swift to Elevation Worship, like, back to back. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, it's definitely a matter of, like, balancing it, and then also just keeping in mind, like, lyrical content. Like, there's some artists that I really like stylistically their music, but I've had to stop listening to them because just content-wise, it's not that great. An example of that is The Weeknd. Like, I love The Weeknd's music, but as I was, like, trying to grow in my faith, listening to, like, the stuff that he sings about just wasn't helping in that area. And so, like, he's an artist that I've had to I'll listen to, like, one or two of his songs every now and then, but you just have to kind of balance it. But yeah, that's definitely the area I struggle the most in, just because your boy listens to a lot of music.
I'm gonna give y'all some Christian rappers that I really enjoy listening to. Lecrae's good, Andy Mineo. I dabble in some NF. Oh, by the way, shout out Kanye, your new album's fire.
True.
KB
is
great. It's kind of a weird name, but it's called No Big Deal, and it's all together. It goes NOBIGDYL. He's a rapper, a Christian rapper, and he has some of the best rap I've ever heard. And again, Andrew got me on him.
I was going to say, should I just pull up Andrew's Christian rap playlist on Apple Music?
If you have if you need any advice for Christian rap, Andrew's got you, dude. Like, he loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So does Zach. That's our speaker from D now. Like, he has a lot of Christian rap.
Gavi is really good.
Gavi's good.
GAWVI. Tadashi. It's a classic.
Okay, and by the way, dudes, if you are trying to get hype and you want like a something to get hyped to, my favorite song is called Kids. KIDS. It's the name of the song. It's by Magic and Bird, Andy Mineo, and Words Played. It is It is so good. I love that song.
So I guess to like kind of wrap up music, like, you know, you're not the worst sinner ever if you like listen to secular music. Like all three of us on this couch listen to secular music, but sort of as with all of the previous topics, balance. I know it's lame, but listening to like the clean versions of songs, even just making like that little difference helps. Because yeah, if you're taking in like a lot of lyrics about like drinking and sleeping around and doing drugs and all that kind of stuff, like that's what you're going to start putting out. And then just don't be afraid to incorporate Christian music into your daily life, be it Christian rap or worship music or gospel, or a lot of groups are now doing like more like pop stuff with like you have Elevation Rhythm and Hillsong Young and Free and stuff like that, which like I was honestly surprised at how good some of Hillsong Young and Free stuff is. Like I definitely thought they were like the kids bop of worship music just looking at their name, and then like I started listening to it and I was like, oh shoot, this is good. Like don't be afraid to like mix and just like balance. So with that, I guess we can wrap up. So concluding remarks from y'all.
Man, I'm just gonna sound like a broken record for most of this, but monitoring and balancing what you're putting in, because what you put in is what you're gonna get out. Just with anything in general. Especially the content that you're focusing on and focusing on and just intaking in your life of just, man, this rapper's talking about killing people and popping drugs and doing all this crazy stuff. It's going to make you think about that a lot, and that's going to be on your mind more so than it should, which is, I would say, hopefully a very small amount of the time regularly. So just, making sure you're not spending too much time on YouTube. Making sure you're not watching inappropriate things on Netflix, and making sure that with TikTok you're not wasting your life away or wasting valuable time away with this whole coronavirus quarantine of like online school is going to be a weird thing for all of us, and like spending quality time with your family, like you're going to be stuck with them anyway, might as well do something fun with them. Pop out a board game or just, I don't know, that's what my family does, card games and board games, and then there's a good side to content of like get into a movie together and watch shows together and spend that time with your family instead of just shut away in your room on your laptop or your phone.
I think my closing remarks would be, I think a lot of it has to do with how you start your day. Really dictates how your day is going to go. So first off, laying in bed until noon is probably not the best idea because you've already wasted a third of your day, and then which I fall like very short of. I did that this morning, yesterday morning. Like with this whole no school thing, it's pretty relaxing. And but besides that, when you get up in the morning, and I just like encourage you to be productive, whatever that means. Like get up and do an activity, and during that activity, like listen to a gospel playlist. Like even if you don't get up and like read scripture right away, you can still have like Jesus around you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think whether you're showering, brushing your teeth, just doing your morning routine, like put some worship music on your phone, on your Alexa, on your computer, or just whatever it be, because it can really encourage you throughout your whole day just to like look at more positive things and not indulge yourself in some worldly things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like starting off your day with worship music is a really great thing. Also, like, there's a lot of, on, like, the social media end, a lot of really funny, like, Christian YouTube channels, Christian Instagram meme pages, Christian Instagram account. I don't know if y'all follow Crowder on Instagram.
He is hilarious.
So funny.
His Instagram is so funny. I know also from my, like, 24 hours on TikTok, there's a lot of, like, Christian TikTok, like, there's ways for you to, like, see things that are really, like, funny and entertaining and enjoyable, but that aren't super awful. So I would encourage you to like follow more of those. And then, just balancing your time and not just wasting all of your time on your phone, but actually engage with people, engage with the world around you. So with that, I will until next time, thank you, Brennan and Jase, for being on the video. And yeah.
Dope.
See ya.
See ya.
Deuces.
What's this gonna be?
So, we had a little, like a science test. Involves ketchup and salt. So, it's gonna happen from ketchup on their plates, because on the TikTok we've been seeing how salt and ketchup, if you do it like really well, you kind of like mix it in a little bit, it like heats up ketchup. You gotta give it like 15
I don't
seconds.
want no hot ketchup.
I think I understand where this is going.
It's getting there.
I know what you're gonna do.
I'll see it out. You know, try. It's getting hot. I'll test it. Y'all, test it. I'm not doing nothing.
I know you're gonna just like,
Look.
I know you're going.
I knew it! I knew it! You got all over.
Got me too. What the heck?
I knew it!
Did you just like indulge yourself since we're already? Yeah, in between the fingers too.
Golly.
Sorry, bro. It's for the TikTok.
Yeah, I understand. So now what do we do? We just say ketchup all over the place?
No, now we do the Simba.
No! Oh my gosh.